This is your daily market recap for Wednesday, October 19th, 2022. Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well.
Exodus for Realty, aka the Trading Agent. This is your daily market recap for Wednesday, October 19th, 2022. Awesome day. If you bought the dip, trading around it, wanted to start out with a few things just to kind of jump into it. We talked about buying the dip today on the action. Now surprised. Bear trap. Another one. Holding points of control. Now I know people are like, oh, it's lower. Well, let's redraw it to this. Because that high volume high, y'all remember this. If you're newer, pay attention. High volume highs, high volume lows, love to retest. Got pretty damn close. Good enough for government work. We can all agree. Got there. I mean, you can see it's in here. People are like, oh, you know, trying to nail the exact price. That's always going to be hard, right? That's always going to be hard with emotion because we don't know who's got a unleverage, puke, whatever you want to call it. So on that note, just wanted to update people because I know that a few people in the Discord room are always listening and are like, what are you doing, Dan? What are you doing? Well, here you go. Here you go. Congratulations to Rory, who had puts and then pivoted at the lows. Love it. Love the ability to pivot. Because it means you're not married to your ideas. If you know what's going on, what do? You pivot. I mean, it's not rocket science. So, yeah, again, if you are newer to the channel and you want to get in the Discord room, it's open. I'd like to talk to people first about what brings them to this room, what they're looking for. One of those things where when the student is ready, a teacher appears. I love teaching and helping people, but I love people who want to be taught. Think about it. All right, so OPEX. If you're familiar or not, there's a video on it. Please check it out. It's in the on the YouTube channel. OPEX going into earnings, dangerous situation for bears if you are down, because the VIX is elevated usually. And also, too, if the market is down, the CEOs, board members, whatever, whoever's going to be talking, they want to pump. And think of Vanderpump, like pump it, right? Like they get paid in their performance on stock performance. You have to think in your mind, like, if you give them a microphone, what were they going to say? What would I say? What are you going to say if you own, for example, your Elon freaking Musk? What are you going to say at the earnings call today after the stock is down 50% off the highs? You going to badmouth it? Say, we suck. We can't make money. No. So OPEX, CHOPEX, we got tons of puts outstanding that need to expire this week. You have bears all in short. You have the world ending. You have people freaking out. And what do we notice about the hourly, right? We had our capitulation. Every reason. I mean, you gotta love like tightening action. And now what? You pull back. Pull back to the major point of inflection. I mean, they pulled it to the extreme. Here you go. People are like, why are you buying the dip? Well, I mean, you seem pretty cavalier about it, Dan. You were buying at 358 and 368, and you were buying it at 366. And yeah, I mean, again, if I think the trend is in my favor, I have no ego. I mean, I'll stop out if needed. You guys know that we stopped out at oil right before it went higher. Is what it is. So, any questions, thoughts, concerns about stocks as we're talking about them, please interrupt. I don't mind if it's involved with what we're talking about. If not, just be careful. I'm telling you right now, if you are a bear, you want the market to pop. You want commodities to rise because then it's going to put the Feds in a position to do what? What? They're going to have to raise rates even more because the market is priced in whatever you think is going to happen in November. Whatever you think is going to happen in November is priced in. Keep that in mind. What typically has happened before the Fed meetings too? The Fed's going to pivot rumors start growing, right? The whole like, oh, they're not going to do so much and they're going to take, no. We all know it's bull crap. We've seen it multiple times. So be aware. Let's get into some of our favorite sectors. I mean, things we talk about. I apologize every day I talk about Bitcoin. It's dead. Dead means you don't short it. Dead means you can leave it alone. When it breaks prices, then you'll get excited about it. If not, you might be holding nothing. Meaning nothing, like no action. Nat gas. Okay. Talked about having to hold up in the mid sixes. If you stopped out, you did the right thing. Again, being able to pivot. Now, if you think you're always going to be right and you're following people who are like banging the drum of, we are always right. Look at me. No. We stopped out. This area around 6 or 545, I've set an alarm. If we get there, that to me, look at the high volume highs. Let me pull this up here. And lows, look at this. Do you not think there's going to be support at this price point? Now, after we broke this area, I'd had no clue. No clue. I mean, we gapped down on the ONG, I'm gone. Was hoping if it got back over, you get back in, right? Does that make sense how that works? Any questions about how that worked? Because I feel like there's a lot of people in the Discord room who may have just had in their mindset, oh, I got to hold it because I think it's going higher and it's a lot off the highs. Well, members Livermore would say, it's because something's going higher doesn't mean it can't go higher. You know, if it's a higher price doesn't mean it can't go higher. If it's low doesn't mean it can't go lower. Once this got broken, you had to assume you have to wait for it to get above it or just let it play out. Now that it's playing out, it's looking a lot more simple now. So if you want to eat Fritos and watch Nat Gas, I mean, I would hesitate to be early. Hesitate to be early. Oil, I mean, you guys know what we said. Watch the 82, 83 range. You started buying. Congratulations. I mean, it's the same kind of thing. You look for the support resistance. If it breaks, you sell first, ask questions later. You don't go, oh, why is it below it? No, that's not what you do. You got to err on the side of caution first, always. Again, we've been all over this. You sold UNG puts on. Oof. Oof. We'll see. Depends on what your time frame is, James. Oil. Talked about probably holds here. It did. Added 86. I mean, USO, I think was what? Sorry, let me pull. I'm like, it was 60, what, 8? 50 was the first entry. Got stopped out, went a little lower, added at 68. And then today when it pulled back to 68.50s, we added. We mean me. I don't know. A few other people talked about it. Price caps, selling SPR, whatever. It ain't gonna keep oil down. You need to produce more. You can't just pump it out of the SPR and be the plan. Okay? It's again, if this is the theory and this is a head and shoulders bottom and oil is going to go higher and it's gonna put the Feds into a absolute pickle, then this needs to go higher. USO, we'll get into it later, but somewhere in the mid 70s at worst. At worst. That would be my thoughts. Okay. Let's get into the dollar. What do we say today? What do we say? All right. It's popping. Watch it. Watch it. Do we make a higher low again? I don't know. Could it be penning out, tightening action, you know, like lower highs, higher lows kind of thing? Potentially. Somebody said, you know, hey, it's going to break out. Let's not get too excited yet until it does. Because if you want, you can draw the pennant. You can see it. Penitent man will pass. Penitent. Patient. You know what I mean? Watch this stuff. Sorry, I forgot that reference is from, was it Raiders of the Lost Ark? No. I can't remember which one it was. It was one of those movies. Sorry, it's like trying to focus and then talk about the jokes. But y'all know. I would keep an eye on it. We all know if the dollar goes screaming higher, the market's going to get, beat. But at this point, it feels very logical. Just like when you had in May and June, you had this choppy dollar action, right? And keep in mind, the dollar went slightly higher. Not Lord of the Rings, stop it. The dollar still went higher and the market went higher. This is where it gets interesting because watching Chinese stocks right now, money is leaving that area. Money is coming into the U.S. It's very clear. Now, again, are we just the best of the worst? I guess, maybe. Indiana Jones movies. Yeah, anyway, this is tough. This is tough because you got to watch the action. You absolutely have to watch the action and just go, okay, it's not pretty. The dollar, we've said this, or not dollar, bonds. Oh man, why are we slow loading? This has just been one of those trades where once you got stopped out, I mean, I got stopped out here, it popped back out, and then I was like, I don't care. We go to the monthly, right? Now we're coming into some zones that matter. You can see it. I've seen it. But does that mean it bottoms today? No. So if you're looking at bonds and you're saying, I need to buy bonds, I'm going to tell you right now, patience. Absolutely have patience. Do not be one of these people who thinks that the bond market is going to absolutely rally quickly. And if it does, it's going to be on some sort of event. And that was not predictable. You know what I mean? Like, you can't bet on things you don't know. But I hope it happens if people are, again, because I think rates will spike lower at some point once the feds admit that capitulation, essentially. Like, you're going to need oil, gas, all these commodities rise. They're going to raise way too fast. They're going to project out way too strong. Again, I anticipate a recession next year. It's basically 100%. I mean, we're in a recession. Let's not lie about it. But I'm talking about like steepening recession. Then it gets ugly. That's what you're waiting for. And this is the thing. So this is why I talk about why I think the market rallies too. Is all of the bad news is priced in for the current rate meeting, current year. It's just how bad do things get, right? How bad does the mistakes made by the administration to do SPR releases and do all of these like overreaction to, man, we're getting slow load today. Overreaction in the markets to try to like save the markets. I mean, that's what's going to hurt. That is what ultimately is going to hurt the absolute heck out of the stock market, right? It's going to make it worse, right? You don't whatever, you just release more oil to try to get price down. No, bad idea. Bad idea. No, you increase production to get oil prices down. Man, we are really slow loading today. SPY talked about the breakout of the 20-day being key. It comes back, test the 20-day. We talked about test the high volume high. Did not expect 365, but it happens. I mean, just said to myself, look for the dips. So far, so mediocre, okay. I mean, anticipation of what happens next. Do y'all see, like, this is pretty, like, again, if we're going to get up to 390, that's what I expect at some point. We got to shake out bears. Because it's the same action here. Chop down 80, choppy, pop up, then open the floodgates. Chop action, then open the floodgates. VIX spike. Because remember, the VIX is not going to break out to new highs unless you get really sloppy capitulation action. Like, just scared, poopless. Any questions on this at this point? Any questions about the SPY? Because again, I mean, the Qs, they might have capitulated on the action lately. Let's see if we get some quicker loading. Man, this is driving me nuts. This is driving me nuts if we're going to be this slow, because I like to rapid fire through this stuff. Doji again. I personally think, again, the best action to trap, right? To trap is to go higher first. Not a bull long term, but to trap, right? That's what you need to see. IWM, come on, squeeze through there. Oh, you're going to kill me with these slow loads today. We have not had this. Okay, here you go. Back to the 20-day. Popped up pretty hard, pretty quickly. Still did not make lower lows. I mean, we talk about this stuff. Again, I don't know who's new and not. If you're new, say something and I can rehash this stuff. But we've said, like, the IWM leads. Didn't make new lows last week. Naturally, it pops, pulls back. Doesn't look that dangerous to me. Gold. I've said this and I say it over and over again. Please leave gold alone. Every freaking idiot out there pumping this stuff on social media. Again, buy physical. No one's going to argue that. The paper stuff, there's better trades out there. That's the hardest part, leaving those alone. This gap, filling this gap. I mean, I personally think it chops until it drops. There's going to be trades on it. I said this earlier. If you really wanted to buy gold, I guess you could here, near the lows. Silver acting better. We've said that makes sense. If the market's going to rise, Silver is more of an industrial metal, should hold, looks better. I've said this a billion times too. If you want to buy gold, silver for the long run, wait for the blowout. I showed this on the monthly, like every other recast. When the Feds pivot, that's when you get the straight line moves. When you get the Feds pivot, that's when you get this stuff, purgatory. Leave it alone. GDX, I guess technically you're holding the 22, 23. If you want to play that, go right ahead. This homie, don't play that. No desire. No desire. You know what I mean? Homie, don't play that in living color. GDXJ, man, I don't like this gap, but if you hold this area, it could pop. Again, if you want to play it, I mean, I know certain people who just love to trade gold and miners, and I'm like, I used to be that guy. And then I realized when it's not ready, it's not ready. AG, I mean, somebody's talking about buying AG. It's like, no, it's not ready. Just let it play its games. Stop playing games with my heart. No, that's what gold miners are going to do. AEM we talked about. This is the one. It's got volume at the lows. Just leave it alone. Newmont. Slow load. Nothing. Just, I don't know. Pass on it. Pass. And again, like think about these. And here's the thing that I think, please take note of this. Tax loss selling in the miners and gold will absolutely keep this stuff down to flat into the end of the year if these things cannot get any rallies. Because think about, like, they literally open, I mean, for example, this one, 22, and it closes at 15, tax loss selling. I would write this off and buy it back later. I mean, that's what they're going to do. Please be careful with that stuff, okay? If I see this, I see people post about it incessantly on the Discord room or on social media, and it's like, do you just stick to, do you stay with terrible people, or do your friends are the closest people to you, and if they're not growing, you just stay with them? No. The ability to pivot is a beautiful thing. AMD, it's at channel lows. Tech looks oversold. It probably bounces. Trade at your own risk. Nvidia, why are the mark so slow? I don't want to restart this. Channel lows. I mean, insiders unloading at the lows. Keep in mind they're idiots too. I mean, if you are an insider and you are just selling the stock now at $1.20, let me guess, you're probably buying at 300 too. I don't know which insider it was. If someone wants to double check it, but that is absolutely comedy to be selling down here. That means you either think it's going lower later, which you probably will. SMH. No, they used to. I agree. They definitely have to schedule their sales for quarterly around blackouts. Yes, absolutely. But to sell 10 million worth, I mean, that just seems like you need a new boat at that point. You're just like, I don't care. SMH, again, channel lows, bouncing, holding tight. We'll see. I mean, this is the thing. If you think the markets are going higher, which I do, they're going to pop. All right, let's talk about some of these other tech names, because this is interesting. Adobe, they came out. We talked about them. They had guided down. Oh, look at this chart. See it? So gray. It's so black and white. No. Come on. There you go. Gap down. Chop. Told you could have sold puts. Now they released their earnings. And what? It's holding up. Things that aren't bearish. Part 1700. Apple. Apple's news has been what? Man, this is slow. I'm just going to talk through the load. Everybody knows sales are slowing. Everybody knows iPhone 14 Plus, Pro, whatever, is junk. In the sense that it's not big, it's big of an upgrade. Everyone knows that. But look what's happening the last couple days. Opens at the lows, close at the high. Yesterday was wide and loose on that exact same news. If the market is bearish, think about looking what happened. Like, look at the daily, right? Like, look at this. It needs to take out the lows from yesterday. It's not doing that. You got to be careful. Again, that's not bearish to me. You got to be evidence-based. This isn't just me talking to talk, right? Like, you try to build the evidence. Amazon, another prime day. At this point, they're going to over-prime the market. Looks better. Did not take out the lows. Doji today looks just like the market. CRM, I think they got affected by Adobe. But look at this. Doesn't look that terrible again. I don't personally like it, but it doesn't look like it's about to blow off down. Come on, SPY, rally into the close. That's what I want to see. Google, we talked about it being trash, but then Pelosi's exercise and calls. This is tough, but it's over the 20-day. To me, this is what I worry about stocks that are stuck. They're going to be in like these stuck holding patterns. They're going to be in these stuck holding patterns. I don't want to play these. Meta. Ho, if you know that reference. Meta. Crap. But could bounce. I mean, it's like all these names you're spouting over here, Scott. Peloton, Shopify. Yeah, I mean, they're probably all, they're junk, but they could bounce. Trash floats. Trash floats. So at this point, watching Meta, I mean, you couldn't pay me to go long these stocks. I'm sorry. Just feel like you're playing with fire. Oh, come on, Microsoft. Mr. Softy. Why are my charts? I've never had my charts freeze once. This is awesome. And look at that. Okay, Microsoft held the 230s. Bouncing around. What do you expect? I would personally think at this point, it's at what? 235? I'm sorry. I mean, I just remember these charts without having to look at them. No, it's not crazy how unstoppable. No, dude. No, Scott. All the names are unstoppable, become stoppable at some point. 3D stocks got the thing. EV stocks got the thing. I mean, dude, it's momentum. Study the past, man. That's why I'm always like, you can't buy and hold forever. Only a few turn into the buy and hold forever. Most stocks are what? Buy, rise, and flop. When the bear market comes, toast. Toast. They're all toasted. That's why I'm always like, you got to be on red alert. Because when the bear market comes, all of your favorite names turn into trash. Oh, sorry, Microsoft. Sorry, Scott. But I mean, that's the thing, man. You got to study that stuff, bro. It's absolutely so obvious. Peloton, I mean, if they don't have an advantage, a competitive advantage long term, not going to sustain up. Yeah, Microsoft talked about 230s, getting into it. They like when the dollar goes lower. These names are tough. I don't even know what to tell you. NDAQ had earnings. I just want to kick myself every day for not holding on to this short. Why are you slow to load? Thank you. This was the short. Gaps down on its earnings, chopping. I mean, again, I told you this is the Coinbase of the like when the Nasdaq volumes die up and nobody wants Apple, Tesla, Netflix. Yeah, Kramer's Fang. Do y'all remember the Four Horsemen? I mean, that was another one in 2000s. Kramer's Four Horsemen. I mean, these are the 4 stocks you have to buy every time. You got to. I mean, I remember. Oh man, what was the insurance company? Oh my God, AIG, Citigroup, all of those awesome stocks. Wells Fargo, Goldman, you gotta hold those. Sorry, MicroStrategy. Here you go. I mean, it doesn't look that bearish. Now again, it's kind of hanging out, but it's doing what it's gonna do. I mean, it's hard to be bearish this stock if it doesn't take out the lows, because you could argue this is a head and shoulders bottom, which probably takes it up to the 260s. 200-day? Question mark? Don't know. Why are these charts so... I've never had them freeze. Okay. Flicks. We talked about buying this into the close, right? Thoughts on pop? SPY calls for November versus December? No. October. No, man. I'm not even going that far out. No. I don't trust that long dated. I don't want to hold calls that long. Netflix said we liked basing action. If we're going to really screw up the bears here, this thing was going to pop. This was going to pop. We talked about it. Hits the 200-day. Dan, do you sell any? Nope. Got a whopping 50 shares just to held through earnings. I think it goes higher to squeeze. I mean, that's the thing. If the market's going to go higher to really mess with bears, and again, this could be like a 1 or 2 week phenomena. Could be a 1 month. The easy money is coming, and you have to trade through it, right? But I personally think, and if you want to go out to November, go right ahead. I personally think that once you get certain highs, I don't think you're going to have more upside. So if we get to 390 sooner than later, I would play and think more about the chop top that we talked about. But it's back to Netflix. This is the kind of stuff that you expect to happen, right? Like out of position, down from 7 hundo, and it pops. You gotta convince bulls there's a bull market, right? There's a bull market coming, guys. No. Roblox. You know, we talked about this. It wasn't acting bearish. Please load. Thank you. Woohoo. Could this be a little left-right comp? Ooh, this could be a little island floating reversal. We'll see. I personally think if the market holds up, this thing could play games. And the games that it plays, is it a repeat of this pattern and fail? Or did they have one? Let's always look left. No, there wasn't another one of these. Well, maybe it's done. But this action off the low is a little scary for me to short. Personally, I would leave it alone. Tesla, here we go. Coming into earnings. Red alert. If I wanted to screw the bears and put people in a position to lose, what would the position be, right? It's not like the stock hasn't taken a bath. 415, 205, 207, whatever. Just pop it. I'm telling you, again, even if it's just this. Even if it's just this. I'm telling y'all, that is, you want it. If you're a bear, you want it so badly. Because you have to think about, like, when you stretch things harder and there's not catalysts, it's not going to rip. It's going to rip right back. And look what, this action to me is great. Because if you think about a trend, right? Drops, then it chops out. Chops up, then falls. Think about this level. Bring in all of the bulls. Make this level seem like it can't be broken. Pop it, then what? Drop it. And then once it breaks, think about all these folks. Because these folks are all toast. You guys are busted. Anyone who bought this last year and early in the spring, you're wrong. Dead wrong. Drop it, pop it, then yes, it'll drop it like it's hot. And I'm telling you, people are like, oh, how are you going to think this thing's going to be a double-digit stock one day? I'm like, all right, go look at the monthly. Remember, we talked about one candle that ruined it all for bulls. They don't realize this. They're a bunch of idiots. Like, this candle convinced them to go bullish. Now it can't go higher. But here's the level. You see it. Like, just let this level play out. Because and then it becomes like a monster left shoulder, right shoulder, head. Once the shoulder line breaks, see you later. Does that make sense? I hope so. Again, I mean, oh, you're projecting out what you want to happen. Yes, I am. It's a repeating pattern. Because if the shoulder lines fail and bounce around it, the longer you sit here, the bigger the move. It's the same thing with gold. Like, look at this. Sorry to like jump around. But do we not agree if I can get the charts to load? This is so frustrating. This big monster cup and handle, the longer we hang out in this handle, does what? Leads to higher prices. Think about it, because here's the bottom. Now you've shaken out people for as long as years. Literally, years. People give up, and it just holds high and tight. Think if this was like an hourly chart. You'd be going, ooh, yeah, hell yeah. But since it's a monthly chart, you're like, no way. Biotech catching some volume. We're almost into biotech. Yeah, let's roll into bios. Let's get into bios. Oh, who be texting? If I can get it to load, I apologize. At the trend. Let's look at the 10-minute. Don't be flopping me here. Okay. Yeah, XBI. Yeah, at the trend. Definitely volume picking up there. Not amazingly great volume, but hey, that's stopping power. Let's call it what it is. I think you got something here. I drew the arrow versus a ray. We're at the trend. Again, if you think the market's about to peel and like an onion, then this thing needs to break down. If the market is not, then you know what's going to happen here. It's playing this game. Who remembers this? I do. I remember the 100-day. I still remember Wild Warrior going, oh, bios are about to break down. I'm like, if it doesn't break the 100-day, it's about to go screaming higher. And all it took was 5 days to get up there. Well, here you go. If you can't break the lows, it should go higher, right? Right? Okay. Materials. Sorry, I'd cut into there because I agree. That was worth looking at. Appreciate it, Drew. X. God, this is so slow with this stupid loading. It looks fine. Higher lows, holding the 20-day. Nucor earnings are coming. Be careful. Remember, they guided down. But here's the irony, right? Here's the irony. Earnings are in the morning. Here's the guide down. You're literally right back up there. Doesn't look that... It seems like it's getting absorbed pretty damn good. VALE. I like this stock long term, but I don't think I want to play with it until it's done. Because again, it's got emerging market exposure. Just let it play out. Arrow. I said be careful of this. I mean... channel high, and then it breaks down. Now, again, copper... people will be like, oh, that's bearish, yes. But up channeling technically isn't. You know, this is where it can get so hard about the charts is that, I mean, it could just chop out as a rising market, and it wouldn't be technically really bullish or bearish. It would just be chop. CCJ, I mean, again, we said you got to get over, like, was it the 2250 area. You're back up and down and chop. I love it long term. Going vertically integrated, I think it's a great idea. But let's wait to really buy this one because I don't trust it. Now, again, I think commodities are going higher. The screams and yells for uranium will always be loudest as oil and gas rise. I just don't like these stocks. People are like, what do you don't like? I just don't like the way they act. I don't like the structures. I don't like how they just diluted their shareholders out the wazoo potentially. It's going to take time to play out. But we do like their vertically integrated. We'll come back to them at some point. CF. This one is playing some games. If you can load. You see it's just the gray game. Long wicks hits the 50-day, backs off. Now people are saying, hey, this looks bearish. Can't argue that. However, I like this chart for buying longer names. Oh, it's too high. Stuff that's holding up is holding up for a reason. If the market dropped and is chopping and this thing is following the market, well, then it makes sense that it could be a holding pattern. Now, everyone knows the Mississippi is running dry. They're talking about not being able to move materials and might have higher shipping costs to put it in a truck and move it around the country, put it on a rail. We get it. I still like it because if this is a head and shoulders, the shoulder line can take out, like I said, left shoulder, head. The shoulder can take as long as it's going to take. And if the market is going to go higher, I think it will wake up. Mosaic. Thank you. Holding up pretty well, right? Doesn't look bearish. Keep in mind, I mean, look where it's gone. Just like this is the blow off top. Here's the channel. I still think you could at least get up into the 60s. If it goes. Now again, preface, if it goes. If the market goes higher, which I think it will. NTR, we started talking about this, like looking at it at 80. Here's the point of control. Right? You can see it kind of reminds me of like nat gas. How you just look for this big zone and see if it holds it. Like there it is. It drops down into it. And I'm hoping nat gas drops down into its lower range. And it's going to pop. How high? Now again, the market's going to help pull this higher if it goes higher. Does this clear? Clear is crystal clear. Crystal clear Pepsi. It should hold. If it holds, good. We did XBI, financials, XLF. Down a little today. Not surprised. Thing's been on fire. Yeah, you see it? Look at all that fire on the screen. Come on. Why? I should restart my charts, but it takes like so long to load and unload. Do y'all want me to do that? Okay. Gets into the point of control. Let me draw it over. Backing off. A lot of gaps here. Wicks. We'll see. Is that bearish or monitor? Is that red candle on anomaly on CF? Good question. I'll go back to it. Look at financials holding up. CF. I know which red candle you're talking about, Joe. Are you talking about the big down red one? This guy? Yeah. Like the volume doesn't line up with the actual candle size. Because here's the last candle that looked the same size. Right? And it had half of that. And that ended up being an anomaly, right? I mean, here you go. Another red candle at the lows. Great question, Joe, because I remember talking about this previously. Like, red candles at the lows that don't have huge volume lead to higher prices. We'll see. Morgan Stanley. It seems like direction we decide tomorrow. I think probably whatever. Yeah, people are talking about stuff. Holding up. Not taking out the lows. Not bearish. Keep an eye on it. JP Morgan, this piece of junk with no buyback. Jamie Dimon talking about market's dropping another 20%, and then look what his stock does. Oh, but you read the news. You read the news, didn't you? And it said the market's going lower. Okay. And then it pops. Oh, geez, I'm just beating this stuff up. Let me just remove this. Y'all see my point here? Doesn't look bearish. Now, again, that could be just... This is hard, because look, you guys know like the W pattern. Well, look at this screamer. Awkward W. Sideways. That one's tough, man. But if it has every reason to drop, and it's not. That's where you got to be like, First Solar. EQ2, high of the day. Yay. Come on. Tight action. We talked about shorting up here. I mean, it's still there. Now what? I would really love to see a pop. I just don't want to short the continuation. If the market's going to go higher near term, I don't want to short stuff. Now, if it goes lower during it, pretty crappy. It means it's probably going to go lower when the market goes lower too. Sedge holding high and low and tight. Don't really have anything on it. ENPH. Every time I post something, someone's always like, "You're an idiot. They're the best stock in the world." Okay, well, yeah, whatever you say. I mean, it is what it is. Oh man, I can see my viewership dropping with my screens freezing. Oh well. Here you go, holding the high volume low, chopping. Again, market goes higher, the stuff will follow. Tan your hide. And again, I apologize for the slow stuff. Holding the lows. Can't really get bearish. All right, let's talk about oil. Because this is, how we talk about, the Livermore story is like, oh, if I sold my wheat to fund my cotton trade, and when I had a profit in wheat and then I added to cotton, it showed me more of a loss and I was an idiot. Like that trade. Like that's the oil and gas trade right now. Talked about oil bought USO around 68. Here you go. This is what I expect. Somewhere up, I think you can get up at worst to 79 to 675. Sounds like a lot. Yes. Someone's like, oh, my puts and calls are green and they're going into Tesla earning. Yes, because the IV increases. All options get more expensive, especially if they're at the money. Even out of the money sometimes too will do that pretty dramatically. Just depends on how the IV spikes into the close. Because again, more people that buy options, the more the market makers charge for them. Remember that. Yeah, so holding. SPR, good luck. Nat gas, as we've said, I mean, that's the cotton trade that you shouldn't have stayed in. You could have pivoted. But however, as we talked about, nat gas is coming into levels where I think you're going to see some interesting action. And if it doesn't, oh my God. And it equates down into like the 18 range. Here I'll show you the chart just for fun. Oopsies. Henry Hub natural gas futures. No. Let's just go with these. Yeah, it's going to be UNG around 18. Got it? I don't think I would play it until then. I mean, again, if you really got to get excited about it, I mean, you're in the zone, which we showed. It just, I don't want to be early because I think there's been better stuff. Sorry to say that. ExxonMobil, nice upgrade today. I've said this thing is going higher. Word is bond. Nice close on the SPY, closing up near the highs. Not bearish, right? I am already going to be early. Yeah, I heard you sold some puts. Well, we'll see. Please explain the difference between high versus low volume on highs and lows. Let me do that here in a second. Let me get through the oil names. I'll do that, Smiley. Looks pretty solid to me. Again, you want to trade the leaders or you want to fart around in tech? It's kind of your guess. Occidental. It's not accidental that good old Uncle Buffett is selling. I was thinking like Uncle Joe. Uncle Buffett's selling calls every time at the highs. The put call ratios gets like 0.2. and then it drops. If it gets over 70, I mean, it's gonna go. EQT, hey, look at that, high of the day. Closing at the high of the day. People were whining about it at 40 and change this morning. Yeah, look at that. It did not make a lower low, held the point of control. I'm telling you, it's got added to the mid-cap names. Growing boy, you, EQT, looking good. At this point, keep an eye on it. I personally think at worst it can get back up to a 47, maybe even up back at the highs. We'll see. Again, I reiterate, for the Feds to aggressively raise rates to put the market into the epic tailspin that we all are hoping for, to make a bear market end quicker, we need oil and gas to rise. Fed policy is not going to stop the undersupply of the market. We know that. All right. I'm going to stop the recording. I appreciate friends out there, family, generous donations, the lack of donations. I don't care either. I mean, you pick and choose how you feel like you want to donate. And again, it's all for education. It's all for education. So, yeah, I'll stay on the Tesla chart. And I appreciate it. I mean, it's awesome people are making 50, 60, 70 grand on some of their trades. Awesome. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. Never jelly. All right, let's go into stop the recording process.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, stop by the Discord room. A link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to help support more free content, the PayPal link is in the description as well. I appreciate your continued support of the channel.